Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's JPR, and welcome back to the What Happened To series. Today's episode is going to be a bit of a short one. I apologize in advance, but hey, I just came off of making a 35-minute long video about Pokemon Champions, so cut me some slack. I was going to include Original Color Magearna in today's video originally, but lo and behold, out of seemingly nowhere, Original Color Magearna was finally released to people who have completed the National Pokedex in Pokemon Home. And it's just gonna sit in there, because you can't send it to Sword and Shield. Really gotta question the timing on that. But anyway, since Original Color Magearna is now out of the equation, that leaves just one unreleased Pokemon left to discuss, AZ's Floette from Pokemon X and Y, a rather interesting case of a Pokemon that was fully developed and ready to go, but was strangely never released to the public. No real reason was ever given for this exclusion either, unlike other unreleased events such as the Azure Flute and Hall of Origin from Diamond and Pearl, which Masuda outright said would have been too confusing for players. God forbid he ever watches Inception on Family Movie Night. But before we get into the mystery of AZ's Floette, for the small number of people watching who may not have played X and Y, let's cover what is exactly AZ's Floette. It's his Floette. In all seriousness, AZ's Floette was a special 6-flower variant that was, as far as we know, one of a kind. This Floette served in the Great Kalos War that took place 3,000 years ago, and unfortunately died as a result. How do my textbooks have Abe Lincoln getting shot, but not this? AZ, stricken by the grief of losing his partner Pokemon, built a large machine to restore Floette's life. However, even after bringing his Pokemon back to life, AZ remained bitter towards the war, leading him to convert his machine of life into the ultimate weapon, which he would then use to destroy both sides. However, his Floette was deeply saddened by this action and decided to leave him, leading AZ on a 3,000-year-long journey to reunite with his partner. Finally, after battling the player and newly crowned Kalos champion in Lumio City, AZ is freed of his long sorrow, and Floette, sensing this, finally returns to his side. And that's all you really need to know. So what else makes AZ's Floette special aside from the story and the aesthetic differences? Well, first and foremost, its stats. Eternal Flower Floette has significantly higher stats than those of a regular Floette. In fact, its base stat total of 551 is only 1 point shy of Florges' 552, so it could just be seen as a faster, more offensive version of Florges when the stats are viewed side by side. Also worth noting, Eternal Flower Floette can never evolve into Florges, and as a result, it does not receive a defense boost from the Eviolite item, which is the distinction that only this Pokemon has. Although there are other unevolvable Pokemon in the series, such as Spiky-Eared Pichu and the Partner Pikachu and Partner Eevee, the Eviolite is not present in either of their games. Even Pokemon that technically shouldn't evolve, like Male Salandit and Male Combee, can still use the Eviolite, which means there's truly nothing else in the same category as AZ's Floette. It's just a fascinating fact that I felt needed mentioning, even if my biology professor didn't seem to think so. What does he know about evolution? And finally, Eternal Flower Floette has its own signature move, Light of Ruin, which can be sketched by Smeargle and even used randomly by Metronome. With a base power of 140 and 90% accuracy, this move is strikingly similar to the newly introduced Steel Beam in Pokemon Sword and Shield, with just a touch less accuracy and a little less recoil damage. It's also the most powerful Fairy-type move, excluding Z moves and Max moves. The most surprising thing is that this move survived being cut in Sword and Shield while various other signature moves didn't. Heck, even Floette itself didn't survive the cuts, but the move mysteriously remains. This form even has its own unique Pokedex entry in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which means there was more than likely a good long 4 years between 2013 and 2017 that they debated releasing this thing. And hey, maybe they're still debating it, seeing as how Light of Ruin hasn't been cut from the games yet. But there is conflicting evidence. Although Eternal Flower Floette's data is still in Pokemon Home, it is the only Pokemon in the entire application that doesn't have its own menu artwork, instead just having a placeholder Pokeball. I know this is something they could easily patch in later, but regardless, it means that AZ's Floette probably isn't coming to visit anytime soon. Fittingly with its in-game lore, it may just be one Pokemon that is doomed to be forgotten by time. So if they went through all the trouble of giving Eternal Flower Floette its own unique stats, signature move, and Pokedex entries, why never release it? The only concrete reason that I can think of is just for story purposes. I mean, if you waited 3,000 years for your runaway dog to come back, would you just hand it over to some stranger a few days later? Don't answer that, actually. There's some weird people in the comments. I mean, an easy way around this would have been to just say there's a lost tribe of Floette that has finally been discovered and is being distributed, but that does take away some of the magic of AZ's Floette being one of a kind. Sometimes I really do think there was a scrapped Kalos expansion of some kind, one that would have potentially given us more material on AZ's Floette. But that's nothing more than a theory. Any kind of supplemental material for Kalos is as unspoken of as the plans to release AZ's Floette itself. Or maybe it was just never going to be distributed. Maybe there was a scrapped second battle against AZ where he just uses Floette and that's the end of it. Regardless, it truly is one of the greater Pokemon mysteries, and likely one that won't be solved anytime soon. Perhaps in another 3,000 years. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time.